Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. With December just right around the corner, Shudder has a new film coming to its streaming service on December 1st. The film is called A Wounded Fawn and is the newest horror film coming to the streaming service. But is the film worth your time, and should you be investing your time to watch it? Find out my thoughts next. A Wounded Fawn is about a serial killer who brings an unsuspecting new victim on a weekend getaway to add another body to his ever-growing count. She's buying into his fox charms, and he's eagerly lusting for blood. What could possibly go wrong? The film stars Sarah Lynn, Josh Ruben, Malin Barr, Kuang, and was directed by Travis Stevens, who has done previous films Jakobs' Wife and Girl on the Third Floor. So upon receiving the screener for A Wounded Fawn, I only saw the poster. I didn't know what the film was about. I actually didn't even know the director was Travis Stevens until after I watched this film. Previously, I have seen Girl on the Third Floor, which I thought was pretty good, and Jakobs' Wife, which was one of my favorite films from last year. So not really knowing that going into the film, and after watching this film, it's very surprising to me that I actually didn't really like this film. But the film really centralizes on art, Greek mythology, and a serial killer kind of vibe. So the film starts out with this guy named Bruce. He is at a art bidding auction, and they're bidding on this Greek mythology piece, and he loses out on this piece. And the woman that actually wins this piece, he actually stalks her and goes to her house and convinces her to actually give up this art piece to him and pays her all this extra money for it. And in the process, he ends up killing her. And he has this really cool weapon that he uses. It's almost like brass knucks where he stabs them in the neck. I really do like the weapon that he uses in this film. I found that this film, it has some pretty good tension. So after that part is actually wrapped up, Bruce meets a woman named Meredith. And Meredith, she is coming out of a really bad relationship, a abusive relationship at that. So she gets with Bruce, and what does she do? She goes on a trip with him to a remote cabin just to go out and have sex with him because he actually offers her tacos. And I thought that was really interesting because that was something that I learned, that apparently women, you can get them by offering tacos and going to a remote cabin after they just got out of an abusive relationship. You would also figure that if you're going to actually go with somebody to a cabin and you just got out of an abusive relationship, your friends would probably try to convince you not to go. And we don't see that in this film. So I think from a writing standpoint, it's a little bit flat in that aspect, but I guess you just have to go along with the movie magic here and just accept the fact that this woman is actually going to go with this actual man to a remote cabin in the middle of nowhere, and she doesn't really know him. I also find it kind of funny because when they're going on this trip, she wants to stop and get something and she has to go to the bathroom. It's during the daytime and he's like, we're almost there. And then when they're not even really almost there, they finally cut the scene to the nighttime and she still hasn't gone to the bathroom. And when they get into the actual house, she pretty much ignores the fact that she has to go to the bathroom. And then he's like, you got to go to the bathroom, right? And she's like, oh yeah, I need to go to the bathroom. And when they're in this remote cabin, there is some pretty good tension. This film, it is divided into two acts. The first act is actually really strong. It has a lot of tension. You're in the woods. There's these creatures. There's these different people stalking them. And it seems like it's going to be a really tensified film, and it's just going to keep moving forward with a lot of tense moments. But then we get into act two, and this film completely falls off the rails for me. I noticed that the blood in this film, it was not very good. It seemed like the color and the tone of the blood was really off. I found that the costume design, it just seemed like they went out to Goodwill and was like, all right, that's great for the film. We'll use that. It just didn't seem to really match what they were really going for the film. I found that the whole art portion with the whole Greek mythology, it seems to get really lost in the idea, especially when there is this one portion of the film where somebody is wearing a mask, and when they reveal the person in the mask, it was just a little bit cringy. It kind of made me laugh. I think from an actual perspective of this film, watching this film, I didn't really like this film, but at the same time, it kind of made me laugh of how the story actually went. As the story just kept going on and on, I just really seemed to really withdraw my interest from the film. I just don't think that it really worked throughout the entire film. I really think they could have done a little bit different route with this film, but I just didn't really care for the whole Greek mythology portion into the whole serial killer vibe. But there may be some people that really do dig this film. As for previous works, I obviously like Travis Stevens' previous works, so it's really interesting that I didn't really like this one and it just didn't really work for me all the way. I would give a score of this film a 2 out of 5. I think that there are some people that are really going to dig this film. They're really going to like the tension moments, and I really can't blame them for that because I really do think there are tense moments. I think that the characters, They don't always have the best dialogue, or they don't have the best logic that they're thrown into this film, but I think that they hold their own as far as like the acting. I don't think the acting is overacting or underacting. I think that the acting is just right, and I think that they do fine with what they're given. I just think in general that the story just doesn't work for me, and I just found that a lot of the different kind of character pieces that they were going for here and the whole portion of the message that they were trying to do, it just didn't really work for me. Let me know down in the comments, did you like this film? Did you hate it? Was it kind of meh? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next review.